So now you can hear me. Great. The meeting has been called to order and the roll call has been completed and we do have a quorum. We're going to move on to the invitation. Have Pastor Carlos. The pledge of
allegiance of the United States of America and to the republic which stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're going to move on to announcements. First of all, I just want to wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day. Thank you for coming out and celebrating with us here tonight. The city is extending the late fee from February 10th to Wednesday, February 15th at 8 a.m. for January utility bills. Bills must be paid by 8 a.m. to avoid a late. City offices will be closed on Monday, February 20th in observance of President's Day. There will be live music at the back 40 this Wednesday, February 15th from 6 to 8. Red Bud has trivia night every Thursday starting at 6. The Blanco Chamber of Commerce Mardi Gras banquet and ball will be held on February 18th at 6. Blanco PTO's Sweetheart Dance will be on February 18th from 5:30 to 8 at Twin Sisters Dance Hall. Blanco Youth Baseball and Softball will have their bowling fundraiser on February 18th at the Bowling Alley. The Blanco Indie Film Night will be on February 25th from 6 to 9 at Jim Hills. Christensen Gallery will have its grand opening on February 25th from 5 to 10 p.m. Blanco's Co-op's Wellness Fair will be held on Wednesday, March 1st from 4 to 6 at the high school cafeteria. There will be a ribbon cutting ceremony at Camellia on March 2nd at 4. The Mileman Green reopening event will be on March 4th from 11 a.m. to 6 p.m. The Blanco Library's dinner and movie event will be on March 2nd at the old Blanco County Courthouse. Doors open at 5:30. Dinner starts at 6. There's going to be a ribbon cutting event for the Fairview Coffee Shop on March 3rd at 4. Read Between the Wines on March 8th from 5:30 to 7 at the library. And I just wanted to thank everybody for voting the Christmas parade as the best parade in town. You're going to move on to public. Does not look like we have any public comment. All of the comments are going to be during the public hearing, which is coming up soon. So I'm going to move on to the proclamations. And first, we have George Washington's birthday by Blair G.
Good evening, Madam and Council. My name is Blair Rudy, Texas Society of Sons of the American Revolution, and I'm really quite pleased that the Mayor and the Council issues this proclamation declaring February 22nd as George Washington's Day in Blanco County. A few words, if I may. George Washington is eminently successful as the father of our country. A truly successful and effective father is one who never claims credit for his achievements in being the father, and who inculcates his ideas and values in his offspring so well that they in fact do not realize themselves from whence these values came. They therefore tend to just take them for granted or to try to contest these values. We all know the story of the college father, which is amazed at how seemingly uninformed, stupid the father was. Only to discover years later how informed and wise his father had become. The ideas that Washington had and lived became so imbued in American institutions and culture because of his skill as a visionary leader. He often failed to realize from whence they came, namely from our national founder, George Washington.
Yeah.
Would you like to read the proclamation?
Whereas the United States of America was established following the War of Revolution from 1776 to 1783, a war won through the brilliant which of George Washington, where the father of our nation, and whereas George Washington from 1732 to 1799 mobilized the Continental Army and led the American colonies against the most powerful country in the world, finally defeating the British at the famous Battle of Lexington. And whereas this reverend founder of our nation resisted the efforts of many supporters to make him a king or dictator, instead using his influence and power to support the creation and adoption of the Constitution of the United States. And whereas George Washington was elected as the first president of the United States during 2 terms of office from 1789 to 1797, and through his devotion, wisdom, and vision, became an exemplar of distinguished leadership for all future presidents. And whereas the San Antonio chapter of Sons of the American Revolution wished to encourage all citizens to recognize the epochal contributions of George Washington to our nation by celebrating his birth on Tuesday, February 22nd, 2023. Now, therefore, I, Rachel Lumpy, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor, City of Waco, do hereby proclaim February 22nd, 2023 as President George Washington Day, and call upon citizens to recognize and honor the brilliance, courage, and vision of the father of our nation, and the relevance of his life to the preservation of our democracy in today's complex world.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can you get a photograph of it?
Pull the flag out in the light.
Here's my phone down right here.
I think she had a hat last year.
Well, that went over. Thought my sword this year, and then I'm looking at the Jeep over here. Maybe next year.
We are going to move on to the second proclamation, the American Red Cross Month. During American Red Cross Month in March, we celebrate the humanitarian spirit of volunteers and reaffirm our commitment to help ensure no one faces the crisis alone. Caring for one another is at the heart of the community and exemplified by simple acts of kindness performed by American Red Cross volunteers that provided help and hope in people's most difficult moments. Continuing the life-saving legacy of Clara Barton, who founded the organization more than 140 years ago to prevent and alleviate human suffering. Every day, these ordinary individuals lend a helping hand to make an extraordinary difference for their neighbors in need, whether it's providing emergency shelter, food and comfort for families displaced by home fires and other disasters, donating life-saving blood for cancer patients, accident victims, and people with sickle cell disease and other life-threatening conditions, supporting military members and veterans, along with their families and caretakers, through the unique challenges of service, using vital skills like first aid and CPR to help others survive medical emergencies, or delivering international humanitarian aid and reconnecting loved ones separated by crisis around the world. Their support, volunteerism, and generous donations are critical to our community's resilience. We hereby recognize this march and honor all those who fulfill their heart's noble words. You must never think of anything except the need and how to meet it, and ask everyone to join this commitment. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Rachel Lumpkin, Mayor of Blanford, Texas, do hereby proclaim March 2023 as American Red Cross Month. I encourage all citizens to support this organization and its noble humanitarian mission. We are going to move on to the public hearing. Item 1, approval of proposed amendment to Plan Development District number 2020-0013, Project Los Altos. First, we have Julie Shack. Gail McLeod.
So whenever the thought of the Los Altos project comes to my mind, the thought of the legality of the ordinance comes to my mind. It was during the period of COVID, and very little movement was allowed. You know, y'all remember that time, people weren't going and coming, and nobody knew what was going on anywhere. Not even the city. And you think, I do. And most of us did not have a clue that this development was even being considered and presented. And if I understand it correctly, even some of the across the street neighbors from that development never received a letter asking for objections. You wouldn't know that because you're just saying they weren't objecting, but they never got. That seemed kind of illegal to me. Many of us object to the ordinance being passed in the first place and would really like to see the whole thing nullified. However, I know that the purpose of tonight's hearing is to give input about decreasing the size of the homes from 1,500 square feet to 1,200 square feet. The proposal originally included the promise to build homes that would enhance the neighborhood. If anything can enhance being built across from an elementary school, the neighborhood can enhance the neighborhood. Kind of clueless to me, but the ordinance for this project includes specific designs and specific size. That was considered when the council members voted for it. They saw pictures of the homes and they saw the lot sizes and everything. To alter either the designs or the size compromises the promised enhancement. It also alters the agreement between the city and the developers. It opens the door to begin cutting corners and reducing the quality and aesthetics of the planned neighborhood. To keep decreasing the size of the home makes the neighborhood look like a mobile home park. You put wheels under those homes and you can take them anywhere you want. And by the way, mobile homes are not allowed anymore. 1,200 square feet doesn't serve a family comfortably. We bought my mom's home and decided to put our building plans aside. We thought that was common sense, no mortgage, no high insurance. But with even just the two of us, we're very proud of it. 1,500 square feet would be considerably more comfortable. The larger homes will invite a more stable and wholesome neighborhood and will fit in better with the way we hope Blanco will develop. There was an agreement between the developers and the council on the parameters of this development, and if anyone is to go back on their word, it should not be the city. In Texas, especially Blanco, a handshake should be enough to solidify an agreement. In Texas, a handshake is binding, and with the signature of this ordinance with the council signing it and the developer signing it, it should be binding, and I hope and I believe that this council has the integrity to abide by the ordinance as it is written. Thanks for listening to me.
Thank you. Stephen Foster.
Hello.
I'm Dan, speaking from the office point of view. I think, I moved here about 10 years ago, the best thing that ever happened to my wife and I. And, one thing I've noticed is that we really don't have a lot of houses. And, I'll put some on here. I've had several friends come to visit me and he's kind of look here, but I can't find this place. So I'm all for the new housing. It's for the size of it, which I know what I'm speaking about tonight. I think 1,200 square feet will just welcome more people. The idea of having it be 1,500 square feet. I like the idea of being 1,200 square feet. I've lived in many homes in my lifetime. In fact, a very nice one right in the middle of Silver Park that I lived in before I moved here. That was that size. And it's wonderful. We had a so I just I like the idea of more people being able to move here, and I think more people would not you know, this isn't a whole lot of houses. I don't think it's going to change. I think it's really shrunk since I lived here. It seems like I could be wrong about that, but it seems like there's a lot less people here. I'd like to see. I think it would be healthy for the community to have houses for people, and if the houses aren't too big, maybe you can bring a few more people that are looking to retire or might make it the price a little more reasonable for them. And that's quite a decision.
Allison Taylor.
I wanted to share my perspective on the local close neighborhood. I'm against lowering square footage, part of the various ordinance, for a couple of reasons. So, as a realtor, I see a lot of these developments and building situations in my industry where some of them are just outright bait switch issues. They pitch an idea to the city council, and then later down the line they can unravel it and have what they want just by each of it in existence and having that ability. As people see, well, it's going to happen anyway, and they were. And then sometimes it's just worth planning and market change, and maybe there's an issue that the builder and developer are encountering, building costs, anything where they need to change. And part of the thing is to come and ask for a variance. So I believe that there needs to be something positive and benefit to the city for that change to happen. And there's already been enough change with what the community considered to be not the mission. And I can see where, yes, income from taxes and that revenue from the city could be a benefit to the city. However, the lower the price point and the more that development changes into a different kind of home, the less it's also going to be, which detracts from the original that might have been there anyway. So if we're looking at it as luxury housing, I'm not sure that for the market. It's also being marketed as affordable housing. It's very small lots of now asking to be very small. So what I considered, I think it's the developer and builder's personal responsibility to adapt their plan when issues come up that cause these requests instead of asking the city to adapt it. I don't think that a smaller home is going to attract the same kind of homes and price point and property there in that area. 1,400 is already low enough in society already. I don't know the good reason why it needs to be lower more apartments. Very small home. And I don't think that lowering it would be beneficial. So that's what a strong no. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want you all to really consider what you're doing here tonight. If you allow this from 1,440 square feet to 1,200 square feet, and you have a family of four, which we were hoping when this passed back in 2020, that you would have families in this area. If you have a family of four with two small children and you put them in a 1,200 square foot home, it's going to be crowded. I just think that there was a lot of discussion back in 2020. And the city gave quite a bit during that time. So they had the number of homes they could build by twos in this area that they're in. So we gave them that so that they could help with the price. They said they were going to start at around 225,000, and that would attract young business people, young married couples, and people 55 and older. Well, young married couples with a couple of kids, put them in 1,400. You're going to have a lot of turnover, I'm afraid, in that subdivision. And because it was a PED with an HOA, so the HOA would help continue to keep that division together so that there would not be a lot of movement in and out and not let the property values go down. Right across from a grade school, and we certainly want that to be a pristine area for our kids to work in. So I would just ask that you think about, do we really want to, and all businesses, by the way, during this period of time, have to adjust to make a profit in your business. So he may have to go up with his prices slightly, but by doing that, it's much better than devaluing a subdivision. I just would ask that you, in final say so here, I would ask that you hold your vote until you have a full council. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, I'm having a little trouble reading this one. I think the last name is Smith. So sorry.
Well, I don't know that I can say anything better than
You say
oh, I'm sorry, please, I don't know that I can say anything better than Dale or Sue said. I'm actually one of the homeowners that I have a house, a rental house that's within 200 feet. And, like, I know Dale kind of hit on this, and I know that's not what we're here to talk about, but the only letter that we ever got from the city regarding this was for last month's P&Z meeting. Originally, when COVID was on, nothing. There was one thing that I was kind of interested in is, it was my understanding that there was supposed to be green space within this subdivision. And according to the plat, I don't see any green space. So I just wonder how many variances have y'all backed off on? And will there continue to be requests for variances? You know, I'm a family of four, and I can attest too that 1,200 square feet is not a lot of room for 4 people. Bump that to that 1,340, you're adding on a whole other bedroom, which would accommodate young families that everyone's planning to get there. So I object and wholeheartedly agree with he said. And to see Blanco grow. I'm a long time Blanco when I was 12 years old, and everybody talks about wanting to keep the small town. Well, how come we want to keep the small town? Bringing in for wanting to get more development doesn't make sense. So I would ask too that y'all consider this very carefully, because, you know, like I said, an agreement, a contract, you know, it's a contract, and you shouldn't go back on it. So I'm going to know for this. Hope y'all will be considered. Thank you.
Thank you. Where's the public now?
First of all, thank you for the Red Cross proclamations because of the Red Cross and my husband 50 years ago. So, I think we should pass this because one, it says that the house is smaller than someone wants to build 1,600 square foot house on it. It can be done, correct? So we're not limiting the size of the house to that lower number. Two, there is a green space, there's a walking trail through it. So I guess I can tables on it. People are objecting to the lot size previously. So smaller houses would make the lots look bigger and not so crowded. Most of us, a lot of us, especially my generation, grew up in houses that were only 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, and we have 4 people. And it didn't seem to cause a problem. So I encourage you to pass it.
Thank you.
Sure what can happen beforehand. I just think people who are supportive of this project. And then two, I know that I think most of the council people that are on the council pass the development purchase agreement. I know that the two newer people on the council heard the previous PNC presentation. So I just wanted to kind of hit some different points in the PNC presentation. First, I wanted to address concerns that neighbors brought to the PNC meeting and here tonight. And I'm really nervous. I would like for neighbors to consider what is called external obsolescence. And that is depreciation caused by factors off the property and beyond the homeowner's control. For example, neighborhood nuances like overgrown yards, boats, unregistered vehicles, junk, even such cranky neighbors under definition, and lots of barking of loose dogs. And I would just like to point out that those types of homes surround post office and elementary school. So this is going to be a brand new, beautiful development. And in fact, the obsolescence can reduce the appraised value by 10%, just from neighbors. I've heard that the size of the home could lower values around it. In fact, there's just studies that show that inner city road lots that are in inner city are generally more valuable land. So that it automatic increase in value as well as being a new structure will be a better value for the community. The previous concern was appraisal value for existing homes. We're here to ask to lower the minimum square footage to 1,200 from 1,440. That doesn't mean that all the homes would be 1,200 square feet. There would be a 1,200 square foot option. Actually, Hugo, who is the developer, he couldn't be here tonight. The 1,440 square footage just came from a number that he put on the paperwork. At that time, a 1,440 square foot home, and this is a garden home community, a 0 lot line garden home community. That size of a home was more affordable to build at that time. And because of the inflation and price increases for building, a builder can build a nicer home at 1,200 square feet. And then I also just wanted to point out the R3 high density residential area that this is in. The statement and the city ordinance says that it was intended for smaller lots, a variety of housing, including affordable and duplex development. Can I keep going? Yes. I also wanted to point out that studies show that Gen X, Gen Z, and baby boomers are all looking at smaller homes for carbon footprints, affordability, and lock and lead. And these are the type of people that are coming into our community. And then I have a slide, we can get to the next one. I just wanted to point out that the surrounding neighbors that have sold recently in the past year, it was a 1,216 square foot house on Greenlawn Parkway. There was a 900 square foot house in Oak Ridge, a 1,399 square foot house on Hashberry, a 920 square foot house on Greenlawn, and a 1,000 square foot house in 15. So these size homes are already in the area. I think that's all I really have. I do have the builder that is building in phase 1 here. If you'd like him to talk about how nice that one is going to be.
Six 33, we're going to end the public hearing and move on to the presentation. Item 1, review of the HUD Section 3 presentation for the Texas CDBG lift station contract number 7220040.
Is Judy? Okay, she is. Hold on. Hold on, Judy. Or Janelle. I'm getting a microphone here.
Okay.
All right. Are you there, Janelle?
I am here. Can you hear me?
Oh, no. Hold on. How about now?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Go ahead.
Okay. Did you need me to present the presentation or you got that?
I've got it pulled up, Janelle.
Okay. So this HUD Section 3 presentation is something new that TVA and HUD have partnered together with, and they feel that each of the city councils need to be presented with this information. It's a new HUD tracking of hours to find targeted Section 3 and regular Section 3 hours, labor hours that will be used on the project. So if we move through the presentation, this is for the 7220040 contract. They were awarded $300,000 in grant funds for the lift station, include a SCADA system. The grant is funded through the Community Development Block Grant via U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, and the Texas Department of Agriculture. As a condition of funding, the city must comply with Section 3 of the Housing and Urban Development Act of 1968. To the greatest extent feasible, grant recipients must direct economic opportunities generated by CDBG funds to low and very low income persons. In part, this means ensuring that Section 3 businesses have the information to submit a bid or proposal for the project, and Section 3 workers have information about any available job opportunities related to the project. A company may qualify as a Section 3 business if it is owned by low-income persons, if it is owned by Section 8 assisted housing residents, or 75% of all labor hours for the business in a 3-month period are performed by Section 3 workers. The project is expected to include the following contracting opportunities. You have a grant administration service that was already procured, engineering service previously selected, and MC Fonseca is been newly awarded in January to do the construction on this project. You may qualify as a Section 3 worker if your annual income is below the county threshold for your family size, you are a current or recent youth build participant, can register your information and search for opportunities at workintexas.gov, HUD Section 3 Opportunity Portal, CivCast, Minority Women-Owned Business Enterprise. And TDA has us construct a map based on a minimum of 5,000 people. And they have determined that this will then be the target area for Section 3 workers. If a person from the construction company happens to work in this area, then we will and qualify as low income, then we'll be collecting the documentation on their hours and reporting the total amount to TDA. They have a requirement to meet for HUD. And Langford will track all the hours worked on the project based on the 3 categories of workers. And we will be collecting the documentation as we do payrolls. And that is essentially what we are doing, and HUD would like you to be presented with this information.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Let me know if you have any questions.
About qualification. Are they qualified to work on the project?
I'm having a hard time hearing you if you're.
He asked if the workers, there was nothing in there about them being qualified. Is there a section where I guess they qualify the workers? Is what you was asking, Councilman?
Yes, it's qualified on income base,
Low income.
low income. So any of the workers that have a low income based on the county levels, then we will be tracking those hours to report to TDA and HUD.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think that's it, Janelle.
Okay, we'll see you guys.
We are going to move on to the staff presentations. And first we have City Hall. Mr. Eckersley.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, residents of Blanco. So next page. So I'd like to talk a little bit about some of the things that have been happening last couple of weeks. We had the storm, great people. So wanted council to make sure, as the administration, that the debris was not to be picked up. So we had a pickup with Waste Connections on Saturday. Next page. With this, I know they're having some issues with not everything getting picked up. And so if there are issues with that, let administration know, let Olga know, and we'll track that. I've been in a day-to-day basis with Waste Connections, and they're thinking about it. Originally, they wanted everything to be strips and put in basically bundled up, and they've been able to fit everything as long as they're cut 4-foot strips. And we have it bundled as, or put in different pieces, just so that it's easier for them to do that. They did use 4 trucks, so go back to the next one. So the storm debris on city right away. So if you notice, the morning of police department, public works came through, kicked everything to the side. We still have some debris on the right of way, on the pavement. In fact, the local content, which is basically back away. Probably see that some of it's been picked up, some of it has been. I'll take a couple weeks. Thanks. One thing I do want to mention before I get to the late fees and we'll give them that is sometimes things take time. Sometimes the city will listen to understand the issue and start moving. A lot of things that we've talked about, the city's got to, but sometimes it takes time with the debris cleanup, and we'll talk about some other things. But just bear with us, it's just a process to try to get this done. Late fees. So as part of the storm effort, with everything going on, couple of things happened, when the notice mailed out, for an actual fee, it took a long time to get to people, probably a couple of weeks later. So normally we mail out the 25th or 26th, and it gets to people, at the end of the month, or the beginning of the month, and then usually the fees are due on the 10th. In this case, we extend to that till tomorrow morning. And then from there, if you still haven't gotten your bills, just call in. We'll maybe late fee based on a case by case basis. We want to make sure that we're collecting fees, make sure that we're getting work in the city, but at the same time, we also want to make sure that we're being conscious of the situation that people can't really there's just like that. So payment restoration, we hopefully get it started a couple of weeks ago. Obviously, we hired a contract type milling. They actually got started yesterday. I didn't see them today, but I only went out a couple of times today. They start on Mesquite near Fultron, and they're going to make them there in the next street and go to Elm Street. So I want to explain a couple of things. I kind of hearing of some things. This is what's happened. What's happened in the past, my understanding is we put in cold mix and just fill the potholes. And then you can see on the sheet, we've done that so many times, or maybe different people have done that so many times, that they basically start to be a degradation of the roadway. And so what we're doing now is professional to actually do a sock cut, go down to the base, to the actual base of the road, and then fill that whole entire section like we actually build the road. This will be done professionally, and this will be done in hopefully the way that will serve us for many, many years. The problem with the cold patch is that 6 months later, you're at where you began, and probably worse, it degrades the road. Thanks. So, I encourage you now to talk a little bit about unfortunately the lift station. You'll also hear tonight later financing of the lift station that is ongoing. We have this, let's say that is another project has started, but it is taking longer than we thought. The water treatment plant, we hope to have that ready by March. However, the other issue is the level of the river needs to be at a certain level in order to have the kind of water quality that we're looking for. So we are considering water plant, but it will take just a little bit more time. Yes. So as I said, the timelines of city projects, and these take longer than others. We will keep working and trying to provide the best information we can. But you utilize as we go through council release reports and publish their reports as well. So upcoming projects. We're still working on the 281 overlay, and that is still a work in progress. That is with the committee that started it. I'll go back to P&Z, and then I'll go back to council. A PDD was submitted, and you'll get that information posted tomorrow. And then we are still working through the SCR applications and working on that. Again, the city's working hard and we're getting through these projects. Thank you very much. And the last thing, sorry, talk a little bit about the quarterly that I posted last month on April 1st. We'll also have posted our financial, not just only the new quarter, we also have percentages that we're getting from the money that we deposited. So we'll actually receive interest. And we are wrapping up the 22 audit, which is hopefully the next council meeting you'll have that to review. Thank you very much.
evening. I have, in addition to our I'll have work with the mayor and post comments So we maintain our communication this year. We comply with best practices, on site. Make sure we were following guidelines. The next 3 years. Written, every year we will be subject to another on site. Currently, the state is only hiring agencies that achieve this. And right now, currently, they're in the House bill that's and the Senate bill. All on coaching. There's 2,700 police departments in Texas. That is passed. Field organization on the next page, list the officers on the figure. Last year, we were authorized 10 full-time officers. For those, we had 4 officers assigned to patrol, 6 officers authorized to patrol, myself and Lieutenant Cascade, we're going to start our next school district. We were on official positions, we're in the process. Right. Three shifts, I have 1 person on them, which has 2 people. 1 person. First, 2 officers. And then, okay. Also about training, number of hours. Qualification, community service, and like those kind of very supportive. Above and beyond, we do things like our indoor play drive. Crime statistics. So again, I'll use some percentages, but I really don't like using percentages when we do it small numbers. For example, we have a 33% increase in sex offenses. So it's, the numbers. We did have an increase in aggravated assaults from 4 to 6. Non-aggravated assaults went down 13 to 11. Burglaries went way down from 12 to 4. And larceny went from 4 to larceny and theft went from 28. So it's interesting about things that 4 burglaries is the difference between a burglary and larceny. Assault, sexual assault. But the burglaries that we had were actually things were injured. 50% of those ones. People know. Again, numbers very small. We have 4, and 2 of those, of course, 2 of those. We did see an increase in calls for service. 6 other agencies of all types are increasing. I think there's almost have a few struggles with their house. We did have an increase in accidents. Interesting, we just accidents to detail. So the accidents were okay. 18 single vehicle accidents, 61 vehicle accidents, 2 vehicle accidents, and 3 accidents involving tractor. So we had 6 accidents involving. So I know we're all concerned. Trucks moving here. Not a big number, but hopefully on for 3 of them. We did see massive arrests this year. But if those arrests driving while intoxicated was up. Drug usage, there were some things that went down dramatically, and something for somebody. Overall number.
residential fund has to be on each sector, so we're required. Big documentation on the planning grace, people stop. Before they see like numbers. Numbers, space necessity, which for me is more encouraging that we have an issue because in the 20,000 some of it needs to with a percentage of residents, non-residents. Thank you.
We are going to move on to the agenda, and all of the following items may be acted upon in one motion. And there is only one, which is approval of minutes from the January 10th, 2023 regular meeting. Is there a motion?
We adopt minutes from
Mayor Pro Tem Barron has moved to approve the minutes from the January 10th, 2023 regular meeting. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Rico, any discussion? All in favor? The motion carries unanimously. We're going to move on to new business. Consideration, discussion, and take possible action on the goal of the amendment to land development district number 2020-013 project hospital.
So if you get some questions, developer, if you look at the analysis back, planning development, 2020, along with concept plan. Currently, the plans have been approved, the infrastructure, phase one, and the plans. So, when we originally took a look at this, here, this basically specialized zone. So the zoning specifically is R3, but a couple of variances I provided with, and with the certain given the specific space that has different things in there, benches, things like that. And one of those, that, and then one of the other things was the actual specific home size, which isn't mentioned in so specifically here, that was said that. The question should be to the council, is this an improvement? Is this a good thing? Having said that, with the recommendation of the PNC planning zone, they felt PNC recommended approval of the PD amendment to the home side of 1200 square feet. This is the council. Questions, staff?
I have a question probably with the developer, builder. Is this development, are you doing any spec homes or are these all going to be custom? And the reason I ask that is if somebody wants a 1200, they could, or you're not, is it spec or is it custom?
It's similar. So we'll have multiple plans available to the consumer. And currently plan is phase one, since it's not 3 floor plans. Each floor plan to have 3 elevations, multiple color palettes, so not one home on those lots look the same. There may be 4 plans duplicated, but the exterior facade will not be duplicated. The white is unique application with their own unique color. The original question is, they're going to be spec all going to be semi-custom installed. However, it said, we are contemplating building the first house, it's spec to be able to represent the community and sell that. And that would be sold to the open market. So the request, allowing the lowering the minimum square footage to 1,200. The market's changed since 2020. Cost, and it's already been stated, the cost of construction, the cost of labor. Last year, interest rates doubled. So now homeowners are now paying over 7% for mortgage rates. So that kicks out thousands of people just talking about here in Texas. So we're not in business with homeowners, but we'd like to be able to have a product to that family that maybe they can't afford $400,000, but maybe they can qualify for a $300 or a $350, because every $1,000 that the cost of a home goes up, many people get knocked out. We also feel, because of the median in Blanco, that if we could put down a really nice product at a lower, more economically fair price, maybe we get more people from Blanco to have an opportunity to have a nice home, a nicer quality of living. So spec home, we are contemplating right now making the first home and put it on lot 10, and then we can.
And one other question, and I know this is probably a market competition question, but as a rule, when you're attempting to make something that market can afford, and I think most of us would look at teachers, firefighters, EMS, police, people that we are working in our community that would like to live in our community. When you, for every 100 square feet that you take off, how much more, what's the cost ratio? So if you're building a 1,200 square foot home versus a 1,400 square foot home, how much more available is that?
Okay, so let me give you some. We have 3 plans that are in concept. We've done preliminary cost runs on those. So a 1,200 square foot home is approximately around the 350 range in today's market. As crazy as that sounds, that's just where the market is. A 1,440 is going to be right around 14. And so, and those are just rough number preliminary. We're still bringing bids from the contractors and from all materials down and finding science. We have gone on science in this period. So 100,000 range would not have a lot of people possible. I'm new to this. I've been here a little over a year, and like we said earlier, it's one of the best decisions I've ever made. I'm in love with Blanco. Coming from a big city, and I'm so done with it. And so in our company, Bordeaux Luxury Homes, we build out the ranches, we build the bigger homes. But seeing the need here in our county here, just to have some houses, some nice homes. We can't, these days, we can use the term affordable because that doesn't apply anywhere in any concept today. But the concept we have in this neighborhood are nice homes and trying to put them at a little bit more economically fair that anybody can, whether it's family. And I heard a comment earlier about you can't put a multi-family in 1,200 square foot. When I moved here, I bought a little 1,200 square foot home over on Elm Street. Smallest home I've ever lived in as an adult. And we bought it as a 3-2. And I gutted it and made it a 2-2. And we're perfectly comfortable. And I've been in the business for quite a while. We have a way, it's all comes down to architecture and space plan. And we have to keep into consideration families. We're right next to the school. We want to put families into these homes. But there are also people that probably have kids who want to retire and get out of it, like I said, get out of Dodge. But we could put nice homes down and folks here down to a nice district. Did I answer your question?
Yes. It's about sounds like it's about $100,000 difference.
This project back in 2020, here it is 2023, why the delay, where the costs have gone up. Well, I'll show you a question there.
First part, like the delays, that was pretty neat. So I don't know everything that's going through. I know part of the delay from what I'm talking to the developer is, the whole shutdown of the world, some things and made it slow down. As far as launch runs, everything. Just for example, 2020 shut down from March of 2020 to November 2020, lumber, just the lumber went up 184%. When everybody's home watching TV and watching Netflix because we didn't go anywhere, construction continued and went up 184%. Well, then it went up, then it came down, and went up some more, but it never comes down proportion to the increase. And that's just one of the labor, the whole supply chain thing. So finally, it's on the ground. I was going to fucking build my home. But now we're happy. And now we're ready to.
I have a question, but this is a comment. I don't think any of us should get too wrapped up in numbers that are being quoted, because if you're. Sorry. The price point wage moves, I think.
And we all understand that the economy has changed, but try to sway us with price points, I think is.
I just want to know the size. If it's 100, you know, if it's a square, when we're building something and you build it one side versus another, what's the difference between whether it's 400,000 to 500,000 or 400,000 to 600? What's the range?
The truth is, we don't know, we won't know until the day he puts it percent. So I don't.
Accurate, because what I quote today is based on today's lumber prices, and there are approximate ranges, can change tomorrow one way or the other. So when it comes down to the final sale, that's when the final price we did get, at least it gives a pretty close range unless we have something to change.
And again, talking about affordability is like knocking your head against a brick wall. I think whatever the price point comes in at, we far exceeded what most of us like. So this is something that's for somebody else, that might be okay, but I think, we need to be cognizant of that. The presentation that was given earlier, somehow that the existing homes that surround it are expensive. Some people would find this development offensive. So I want to point that out as well. I'm going to move that we table this until we have a full council. I think this is important, and I think we have a lot of public interest in this.
Rachel has moved that we table this until we have a full council. Is there a second? Councilmember McClellan has seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? The motion carries unanimously. We are going to move on to item number 2. Consideration, discussion, and take possible action on approval of ordinance 2023-004, authorization and direction of the city administrator and the city financial advisor to prepare and circulate a request for financing financial institutions in connection with private placement of a tax note to fund certain city water and wastewater improvements, to include the CDBG lift station project for consideration at the April 11, 2023 city council meeting.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. This is Blanco. So a month or two ago, came to you to get a consent resolution to fund the station from the TA membership production line, and that's pretty much at the time. This is taking that tax note up to $1 million, and it's basically the administrator and financial consultant and actually solicit bids, solicit basic loans. And so what will happen is once you approve that tonight, enable the come back, they use it. To present to accept that reason. And then with that TDA agreement, I know we talked about the project right now being so class listen up to case overall just don't expect them, but it's a great way to go and cost of that project. Question is that.
I think the only thing I'd like to just make a comment on, that again and again, and I just want to keep on record with that we are optimistic, very optimistic, that we will get funding from the Water Development Board that will allow us to pay this back. But again, we need to make darn sure that everything that we do as we move ahead with this project, once we get the funding to be able to move ahead, is consistent with all of the water development rules and regulations, so that we never lose our eligibility for that reimbursement.
So to mention what you just said, and kind of piggyback on there, that's also incorporated as tax note, which has a maturity of 7 years. So that understanding is that we're actually come in and finance as well. People showed 7 years the whole tax note. Right. And yes, we have been talking with the water board, and we have met those requirements. And we are working with a current engineer, actually our engineer for this project, to make sure that those costs don't happen. That's right.
Thank you. Mayor, I'd like to move that we approve ordinance 2023-0-004, authorizing and directing the city administrator and the city's financial advisor to prepare and circulate a request for financing to financial institutions in connection with private placement of the tax note funds from the city water and wastewater to include the CDBG lift station project.
Mayor Pro Tem Barrett has moved to approve of ordinance 2023-0-004. Is there a second?
Second, tell you what.
Councilmember Freeman has seconded. Discussion.
So, I can see that lift station pretty much from my front yard, but I got a personal tour of it up close yesterday. Dan Barrett from Campamire. It is a critical piece of infrastructure. It is a pitiful site. It is archaic. It is defunct. It is not even working at 50% capacity. And forgive me, it's not eloquent, but as it's been described to me, every turd in Waco has to go through that lift station to get to our wastewater too. I mean, this thing failed. We're in a sorry state. Not to mention that it's currently in our floodplain, right next to the river. So again, if we have another 2015, the Waco River is our sewer. I don't relish that. But those of us who boil from it, most of us buy a house sometime in our life. We're going to think that home is a critical need, just shelter. We don't have the money up front, but we finance it because we have to. I think that's where we're at with this. And I really hope and trust that city staff will continue to aggressively search out alternate funding so that we can retire this debt as soon as possible.
All in favor? The motion carries. I'm going to do a little rearranging here. I'm going to go to item 4 first. Consideration, discussion, and take possible action on approval of accepting donated Little Free Library to be placed in Minnesota Park. Thank you. Hey, I'm Kim Olsen-Pop. I'm the Greenville ISD District Librarian. One of my big initiatives this year has been getting literacy out into the community. And so I have been in touch with the Greenville Library and the Greenville Women's Club to get little free libraries all throughout the community. So I've got lots of businesses on board that are going to have little free libraries so people can come and take books and keep them for free. If they're done reading a book and they don't find it anymore, they can put it back in there. I will be checking these little free libraries every other week and restocking them with books that were donated to the library as well as books that have been needed from the library collection. And so I'm going to see one of the little free libraries in
These cute little houses.
They are, and it has been fully funded by the Greenville Women's Club. They have donated the funds for it, so there would be no cost to the city, and there would be no maintenance or upkeep, even stocking or filtering.
Have you visited with people like our video? Are they excited about this as well? Have this in the park? Oh, okay, super.
I did earlier today, and they are all very excited.
That's an action.
Yeah, they're very.
Who wants this?
Heather,
There's another open library around.
so any individual can do them. I know the council that the new school has one by over by the middle school, and another one of our teachers has one at West Ranch. So any individual can register them with Little Free Library. And it's really cool. There's a app and you can see where all of the libraries are around. So it can be one person that can do it, or early admin shop. We'll have like the donut shop at the new clinic over by the high school. They're going to come to the line for that there. So hopefully it's just going to be like, it's just come to the sea and
That's science related work.
no, I just want to see if it would be up to me first and where they put it. I do have the libraries are actually already built. They have nice metal roofs that are curved and plexiglass doors, and they're really cute. And so I can sit on specs for them as well. Then depending on where you put us, but it is how we can downstairs and put it on a stand, put it on a pole.
I have 1967 encyclopedia.
Thank you, like I said, let's be clear, that some zero cost to the taxpayer.
Not at all. It is for replacement. I thought we would get together with the community department to have their opinions on where it's placed. So we'll together. What's better than reading a book? Yeah, thank you very much.
Thanks.
I actually went there before this meeting to just walk around again, and there was a very book. Councilmember McClellan has moved to approve the Little Library to be placed in South Park. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Mayor Pro Tem Barron has seconded. Any further discussion? All in favor? The motion carries unanimously. We're going to go back to item 3, consideration, discussion, and take possible action on approval of ordinance 2023-0003, election order providing for the holding of a special election on May 6, 2023 for the purpose of electing one city council member to fill unexpired. Is there a motion?
I moved.
Mayor Pro Tem Fair has moved to approve ordinance 2023-0003, election order. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Councilmember Draco has seconded. Any discussion? All in favor? The motion carries unanimously. That being said, we are ready to move on to executive session. Item 1, Texas Government Code Section 1071, 551, 072, and Section 105, Texas Disciplinary Related Professional Compensation. City Attorney regarding our paradise utility easement agreement. And item 2, Texas Government Code Section 551, 074, to deliver the equipment evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of the city administrator. 17, we are going to move to